Welcome to Mikab College online tutorial. We hope at the end of this lesson, you will have acquired the expected learning outcome. Sit down and listen attentively as we introduce your subject teacher.
Hello students, welcome back to mathematics class. I am Miss Zuberi Favor, and today we'll be looking at how we can divide in number bases. Remember previously in our classes we looked at how we can possibly convert from one base to base 10 and from base 10 to any other base, even bases greater than 10. Also, we looked at how we can divide, how we can add and subtract in number bases. Also, we proceeded and we looked at how we can multiply in number bases. So, in today's class, we will look at how we can divide in number bases. And to divide in number bases, we'll list the single-digit multiples of the divisor in the new base. Now, what is this telling us? Before we can divide in number base, to make the work easy for us, we list the single-digit multiples of the divisor in the new base. Now we have some examples. We are to divide 3, 5, 6 base 8 by 7 in base 8. 3, 5, 6 base 8 to be divided by 7 in base 8. And mind you, when you are dividing in number base, you only divide numbers in the same base. Now assuming this is 3, 5, 6 base 8 and this is 7 base 5, I will have to convert this 7 base 5 to the same base with this so that I can divide. So here we are to divide them because they are in the same base. Now from what we said from the introduction, we said the divisor here is 7. We are to divide 3, 5, 6 by 7. Remember, we're working in base 8. Now, I will have to list the single-digit multiple of this, my divisor. Remember, this is the divisor. This 7 is the one dividing this. So, I will have to make the table for 7 here. And this is how we go about it. 7 multiplied by 0 will give me 0. Now, 7 multiplied by 1, I will have 7, still in base 8. Now, 7 multiplied by 2, normal, it's supposed to be 14 base 10, because 7 times 2 is 14 base 10. But remember, we are working in base 8. So, 7 times 2 base 8 will give me 16. Remember, we did multiplication in bases. If I am saying 2 times 7, I will have 14. Now, I will ask, how many 8s can I find in 14? How many groups of 8 can I find in 14? And that is 1. And I will have a remainder of 6. So I write down the remainder with the one I carried earlier. So that is 14 base 10 converted to base 8. Now we have 7 times 3 will give us 21 in base 10. Now we are working in base 8, so we have to convert it to base 8. Now from this 21, we'll ask ourselves, how many groups of 8 can we find in 21? Well, you agree with me that we can find 2 groups of 8 in 21. Then we'll have a remainder of 5. So we write 5, the remainder, then the 2 we carried. That will give us 21 in base 8. So 7 times 3 is not 21, it is 25 base 8. Now we have 7 times 4 will equal to 28 in base 10, but it will equal to 34 base 8, because in 28 we'll ask how many groups of 8 can we find in 28. We'll find 3, then a remainder of 4. Also, 7 times 5 will give 35 base 10, and we will have how many groups of 8 can we find in 35? We'll find 4 groups of 8 in 35 with a remainder of 3. Also, 7 times 6 will equal 42 base 10, but 7 times 6 will equal 42 base 8. How? How many groups of 8 can we find in 42? We'll find 5 groups of 8, then a remainder of 2. And also, 7 times 7 will equal to 49, equals 49 base 10, that's base 10. Now in base 8 we will have 61, because you will agree with me that you can find 6 groups of 8 in 49, then with a remainder of 1, and as we always do, you write the remainder first, then before what you carried. Now we will be stopping at 7 because in our previous classes we said that a base 8 number cannot have more than 8 digits. That means base 8 number includes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 and 8. So this is all about base 8. So having done this, it will make our division easier for us. Just as we know, if I am saying 7 times 2 is 14. Now, if I ask a student, what is now 14 divided by 7? You know it will be easier for you to figure it out that it will be 2. So that is what we are going to apply. Now, 3, 5, 6, base 8 to be divided by 7 now. Now, this is like our normal long division. We have 3, 5, 6, which is to be divided, then 7 out here, which is the divisor. Now, we look at the first digits. The first digit there is 3, and 7 cannot divide 3. So we look at what we have next, close to it, we have 5. So that makes it 3, 5. So 3, 5 is obviously greater than 7, so 7 can divide 35. So if 7 is dividing 35, let's come back to our table. Now we will look at, from this table, what do we have, what value do we have that is closest or equal to 35 in this table? We have 16, we have 2, 5, we have 3, 4, we have 4, 3, we have 5, 2, and 6, 1. Now, we are dividing 35, which is the first 2 digits we have here, by 7. Now, and you will agree with me that from this table, the closest to 35 we have here is 34. So that means 7 times 4 is 34. That is also telling us that 7 can divide 34 4 times. So if I'm saying 7 divided by 35, I will have 4. Yes, which is, once we multiply back 7 times 4 base 8, we'll have that 34. And from there, we continue with our subtraction so as to get the remainder. So we subtract now. This 6 here will come down. Then 5 minus 4 will have 1. And here 3 minus 3 is 0. Now we are not sure with the division. We will continue as we will divide 16 by 7. 16 by 7. Now let's come back to our table. What is the closest or equal to 16 in this table? That will be 7 times 2, 16 in base 8. So this makes a complete division, so that we know now that 7 divided by 16 in base 8 is 2. So 7 divided by 16 here, we have 2 there. Now 2 times 7, we have 16. And then we subtract 6 minus 6, we have 0. And 1 minus 1, we will have 0. So this has shown us that the results of dividing 3, 356 by 7 is 42 in base 8. Now we are proceeding to a second example where we have 1423 base 5 to be divided by 24 base 5. 1423 base 5 to be divided by 24 base 5. As we did, we are going to look at the multiplication table of this divisor here, the 24, in base 5, so that it will make our division easy. Now we have, and remember in base 5, you only have 5 digits, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are going to look at what 24 multiplied by all of this will give us in base 5. So I have 2 times 24 times 0 will give us 0. Then 24 times 1 is still 24. Now 24 times 2 now. 24 times 2 in base 5 will give us 103 base 5. Now, because of our multiplication, when we have 2 times 4 here, this 2 multiplied by this first 4 here, we'll have 8, right? Now, how many bundles of 5s can we find in 8? We can find 1, then a remainder of 3. So write the 3, we carry 1. And also 2 times the second 2 here, we'll have 4, plus the one we carried earlier will give us 5. Now, how many bundles of 5s can we find in 5? We have 1 and a remainder of 0. So that's why we write 0 and the one we carried. That's how we arrived at 103 base 5. Also, we have 24 times 3. 24 times 3 in base 5. We will have 3 times 4 here will give 12. 3 times 4 is 12. Now, how many bundles of 5s can we find in 12? Like, how many groups of 5 are there in 12? You will agree with me that you can find 2 groups of 5 in 12, then remainder of 2. So I write the 2, carry 2. Now, 3 times 2 will give 6, plus the 2 I carried. 6 plus 2 will give us 8. Now, how many 5s can we find in 8? Is 1. Then the remainder will be 3. So, also the same thing applicable to this. 24 times 4 will be equal to 211. How? Because 4 times 4 is 16 in base 10. How many groups of 5s can we find in 16? We'll find 3 groups of 5, a remainder of 1. So I write the 1 and carry 3. 2 times 4 will be 8. And 8 plus, okay, I carried, okay, 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, I carried 3. So 8 plus 3 now will give us 11. And how many groups of 5 can we find in 11? We'll find 2 groups and a remainder of 1. So I'll write 1 with the 2. Now, this will make the division easy, not just easy and possible. Because having known that 24 times 2 is 106, if I am now dividing 106 by 24, I will simply know my answer will be 2. So this way, we are going to still use our long multiplication method, where we have 142 base 5 to be divided by 24. And in doing that, you will agree with me that 24 cannot divide in 14. So what we do, we include the other digits, we include the third digit, so that we have 24 dividing 142. Yes, 24 dividing 142. And looking at this table, which of these digits or which of this number is closest to 142 or equal to 142? You agree with me that we have 132. If we are saying 211, 211 is already bigger than 142. We are looking for something closer, the closest digits we have, or something equal to that. So 24 divided into 142. From this is what we have. The closest digit to 142 here is 132. So 24 dividing 142, we'll have this to be 132. This is the closest digit we have from our multiplication table. 132, and 24 divides 132 3 times. So we'll write 3, and from these 3 times 24, 132, which is what we have here. Now we will subtract to have our remainder. We subtract to have our remainder. So we'll bring this last 3 down, just like our long multiplication. Then 2 minus 2 will give 0. 4 minus 3 will give 1. And 1 minus 1 will give 0. Okay? That is 0 is just a placeholder in this case, so it can be omitted as well. So now we are not true. We have 103 to still be divided by 24. Now coming back to our multiplication table, what do we have closest to 103 or equal to that? Okay, we have 24 times 2 to be equal to 103. So 24 divided by 103 will give us 2. And 2 times 24, we have 103. So subtracting, we have 3 minus 3 is 0, 0 minus 0 0, 1 minus 1 0. So that is how we go about finding that. And lastly, there is another example for us. Still a base 5 number. We are still going to be using our table. 3, 4, 1, base 5 to be divided by 22, base 5. And here in our table we will have 22 times 0, 22 times 1, we give 22. Then 22 times 2, now in base 5, 22 times 2 in base 5 is still 44, because by the time you say 2 times 2, you have 4, and 4 is not greater than 5, so you leave it that way. 2 times 2 is still 4. Now in this case, we have 3 times 2, and 3 times 2 is 6. 6 is already greater than 5. If you remember our multiplication, 3 times 2 is 6. Now we ask how many groups of 6 can we find, how many groups of 5 can we find in 6? We'll find 1 group of 5, then a remainder of 1. So we write the remainder, carry 1. Now 3 times 2, again we have 6, plus the 1 we carried, we'll have 7. And how many groups of 5 can we find in 7? We'll find 1 group of 5, then we'll have a remainder of 2. So write the remainder 2. The 1 I carried earlier, and that's how we arrive at 121 in base 5. Now here 2 times 2 times 2, 22 times 4, will be equal to 143 following our multiplication. So here, if we now have 341 to be divided by 22, this table has made it easy. So we have 34. Alright, 22 can divide into 34, so we will be taking 34 first to be divided by 22. Now there is a reason why we are not saying 22 should divide 3, because 3 is not greater than 22. So we add this next digit to it so that it will be greater and divisible by 22. So here 22 dividing 34. Let's look at our table. What do we have? Closest or equal to 34. Closest. Okay, I think what we have now is 22. 44 is already more than 34. So we'll go for 22. We are looking for the closest to it or equal to it. We are not looking for something bigger. So we have 22 divided by 34 here. Okay, what we'll have is 22. Now, 22 divided by 22, according to this table, we have 1. Now, 1 times 22, we will have 22. Now, subtracting, we'll bring this 1 down. Then, our 2 minus 4 will have 2. And 3 minus 2, we will have 1. Also, we'll proceed to divide. We'll proceed to divide 1 to 1 by 22. And in dividing 1 to 1 by 22, let's come back to the table. What do we have closest to 1 to 1 or equal to 1 to 1? Okay, we have 1 to 1 itself here. So that means 22 times 3 is 1 to 1. So 22 divided by 1 to 1 now will be 3, according to this table. So 22 divided by 1 to 1 will give us 3, the second digit we have here. So from there, we are going to have 3 times 22, we give 1 to 1, and we will subtract. Already we have it completely divided. So we have 1 minus 1 will give 0, 2 minus 2, 0, and 1 minus 1, 0. All you need to do in dividing a number base or any other base at all you need to do is just to find the multiplication table in that base you're working with, and then you have your work done easily and correctly. Once you have this table, it helps. Just as I have 22 times 3 to be equal to 1 to 1 on base 5, if I am now to divide 1 to 1 by 22, from this table already I know it will result to 3. Alright, we have come to the end of this lesson. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to our channel.